What is up, people? Hello, welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Erin James, the channel that brings you all your latest Rangers news, guys. We are here. It's Sunday afternoon. I'm in my building project at the moment in my house, which is not my house, but it is kind of my house. It's my project anyway. This is possible, looking at maybe where we're going to build the Glasgow Rangers Nation studio, guys. Just give you a look around. It's currently a bit of a store area, but it's possible. We are looking at that and how we can do it. So there we go. Anyway, look, we're going to record the video from here this afternoon. Again, on my phone. Again, still need to make mind up on which laptop I want to order, whether we're going to go full MacBook Pro or MacBook Air or just MacBook. I don't know. It's all money, isn't it? It's like Rangers, isn't it? It's almost like, who do we want to sign? Do we want to sign the MacBooks or do we want to sign the Windows or the Chromebook? I don't know. Is the MacBook like the Ronaldo, Messi, Mbappe, Bellingham? And then the Windows like, I don't know, the Chromebook's kind of like the good side, the decent signings, and then your Windows PC laptop jobs things, they're like the serial desers of this world. I don't know. Bit hit and miss. Who knows? Anyway, let's talk Rangers news. Let's talk, first of all, Hamza Igaman. According to reports that are emanating around in Scotland at this moment in time, Russell Martin is going to do everything within his power to keep Hamza at the club. He wants to obviously retain his better players. Now, Martin has spoken about the desire to keep hold of the good quality players within the squad, the likes of Hamza, the likes of Nicholas Raskan, for example. But speaking about Hamza, it's quite clear that Martin rates Hamza very highly, thinks Hamza has a very promising future. Look, I think Hamza, last season, Hamza got some unfair criticism from some elements of our supporters, as some of our players often do. Hamza, people say, oh, well, he didn't score as many goals as Dessers, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, that's because Dessers played number 9 the whole season and was average. And then you've got Hamza, who is a striker, was put out on the left wing most of the time. Well, stick Cyril Dessers out on the left wing and put Hamza as a 9, see how Dessers does then. Hamza came up with a lot of very good critical goals at key times for the club, didn't he? In terms of, the one at Parkhead, for example, the ones in Nice that he scored, one against Tottenham. I honestly believe that if you put Hamza through the middle for the majority of the season at 9, I think he would have scored a lot more goals than Cyril Dessers. I certainly think he would have broken 20 goals in the league. Dessers' pathetic 18 in the league wasn't great. I think, you look at that, you look at 18 goals in the SPL, it's not that good. Especially if you look at what Shankland had managed the previous 2 seasons. So look, I think, for me, Hamza is someone we do need to keep hold of. And the other reason I think we need to keep hold of Hamza, I know he's getting interest from West Ham, he's getting interest from Everton, but the way I look at it is this: Hamza, if he stays, right, and he continues with his present rate of development and the way he's currently playing, then he could be a player that is worth a lot more than the money that is currently been spoken about. People talk about £15 million, well, €15 million, which is £12.7 million. Honestly think that give him another season, 12 months in the SPL, playing regularly, playing in Europe as well, the guy will score 30 goals. And then you're looking at a player that's probably going to be worth, a striker, looking at what, 25, £30 million for the player? This is what Rangers have got to do. They've got to look at it in terms of speculate to accumulate. At the end of the day, you've got to look at it in terms of how are you going to get the most money for your players. And I honestly believe that you keep on of him for the season, as Martin seems to suggest, then we're going to get a situation where we're going to get a lot more cash from him. And that's what it's got to be about. The trading model works, yes, but it's not a case of bring him in, sell him at the first time someone bids something you look at and go, oh, that's a lot of money. Because there's times when you look at it and you've got to risk things. You've got to say, well, look, they're offering us 12 million now, but in 12 months' time, that could be 25 million. That could be 20 to 30 million. We all know that strikers are premium products. Strikers are, if you've got a striker that scores goals regularly and is young, is of an age where he can still develop, then they're going to go on to be worth a lot of money. You've only got to look at some transfer fees that are paid for strikers around Europe to know that it's all about getting the striker to the top of his game, 23, 24 years old. That's when you get your most money for him. Yes, you've got striker Cyril Dessers who's got 50 goals in 2 seasons, but look, to all those people saying, oh, look, he's fantastic, Dessers is better than Hamza. Where's the queue of EPL clubs for Dessers? Tumbleweed, exactly. So look, at the end of the day, Hamza, I think, I agree with Russell Martin, we've got to keep him for another 12 months at least, get another 12 months out of him. I think then at the end of the day, look, we're going to have a player on our hands that's worth a lot more money. And I think Martin is probably going to be a coach who doesn't play players out of position. You know, Clement and Barry Bassett both played Hamza on the left wing. He's not a left winger. He's a centre forward. Play him in his best position. Give him a chance to score goals. Now, of course, that could be complicated by the fact that Rangers are reportedly interested in strikers. Now, that again could be complicated by the fact that the Dessers move to Ajax Athens seems to have kind of hit a bit of a brick wall at the moment, with Athens unwilling to pay the asking price of the club. The reports are that Rangers want 5 to 6 million. The reports are that Ajax are not willing to go any higher than 4 for the striker. I personally think taking 4 million for him would be well worth taking. I'd bite their hands off for 4 million. I mean, I'd bite their hands off for 3.5 million for him, to be honest with you, for a 31-year-old who ain't going to get any better. But if Dessers doesn't move on, does that still mean we're going to sign Turgeman or Frigan? I don't think it does. I think the whole kind of bringing in another striker depends upon one leaving. I can't see us adding another striker to Dessers, Danilo and Hamza. I just don't see it. You know, I think the club will look at it in terms of where there are other needs: centre back, left back, right wing, left wing, possibly goalkeeper, and say, well, do we really need a striker? We've got 3 of them. So I do think a lot of any possible transfer for Frigan or Turgeman depends on getting rid of Cyril Dessers. So I certainly hope that move and we can get rid of Dessers as soon as is humanly possible. But the current one that has been spoken about is Matija Frigan, the Croatian striker who we were linked with last summer. Frigan is currently with Westerlo in Belgium, and that's where Issam Charai is now. The former Rangers assistant manager is now the head coach of Westerlo in Belgium. May give us a bit of an in there. Now, Westerlo have indicated they are willing to listen to offers for Matija Frigan of around £6.5 million, which I think, you know, with the current owners is within our budget to actually go out and buy someone for that amount of money. You know, I think once you get to 8 to 10, then it sort of starts to move out of our budget at this moment in time. In the future, I don't think it does, but at this moment in time, I think it does. So, what has Frigan been saying? Now, Frigan, obviously, I think is a more rounded player than Turgeman. Turgeman is obviously a very young, up-and-coming player, you know, promising, looks good, 21, 22 years old, I think. Frigan is more further on in his career, certainly more developed. He's fast, he's direct, he's strong, scores goals. Croatian. We've had a lot of Croatians at the club that have done well for Rangers. You know, Jelavic, for example, Borna Barisic, another one. You know, so there's been a fair few Croatians, Katic, who've come in and done a good job for us. And you know, Croatian players tend to do well in Scotland. So, you know, it's less of a risk from that aspect. Now, Frigan has been speaking and saying, obviously, that he's not aware of any plans to sell him at the moment. You know, however, the club have indicated that they are willing to sell. He said that in terms of a move to Scotland, that he's willing to consider the SPL, that he does consider the SPL as a possible destination for him, that he thinks he would be very suited to Scottish football and that he would do well in Scotland. Now, is that obviously a response to the Rangers link? If it is, you know, this player's willing to come, he wants to come, I certainly something that I would look at. You know, this is a top striker who can go on to, I think, be even better than he is currently at a struggling team in Belgium. You know, he comes to Scotland where Rangers are more dominant, create more chances. He's going to get more opportunities. I think he'll score a lot more goals, look a lot more impressive. And then look, 2-3 years down the line, we maximise our profit on him again. So, look, I think it's, you know, it's where it is at the moment. But, you know, this talk with the Frigans coming out with, I think, is certainly something we should well be considering going forward. But Frigan, for me, is a big yes if there is a genuine interest there and we can actually sign the player. Right, a bit of news about defenders now. Look, Rangers seem to be linked with a whole host of centre-backs, don't they? And, you know, I don't want to get into the playing a centre-back, you know, in next season. I've read some ridiculous comments likening him to Ronald Koeman, which I think is just an insult to Ronald Koeman. But, you know, there's obviously a lot of links to centre-backs, and there's a lot of links to centre-backs coming in, you know, in this off-season. We've obviously been linked with Connor Cody, Luka Jelenic. There was another guy the other day whose name escapes me now. But according to reports this morning, Robin Propper will return to Rangers pre-season training tomorrow at Auchenhowie, where he will have talks with Russell Martin as regards his future. Now, it was originally thought that Propper was on his way out, that Twente had bid for him. It was half what they paid for him, but we were still going to sell him back because, let's face it, Propper has not done well since he's been at Rangers. He struggled. He hasn't played particularly well in Scotland. In Europe, he's looked all right, to be fair, but that's because European football suits him. because it's like the Eredivisie. You're more time on the ball, more opportunities to come out with the ball. It's not as aggressive, it's not as much aerial football. Whereas in Scotland, he struggled with the aerial element, he struggled with the physicality, he struggled with the speed of the game, a bit like Ben Davies to some degree. But I'd say I personally would rate Ben Davies as a better player than Robin Propper. And to be honest with you, as I said on a previous video, if we have a situation where we go into that Champions League qualifiers with the defenders we've got now, I'd rather start Ben Davies at left side centre back than Robin Propper. I just think although Davies is a bit of a bomb scare, he's less of a bomb scare than Robin Propper. So Propper is going to return for talks. Whether or not what that results in, who knows? Hopefully it still results in him being sold, because genuinely don't see a future for him at the club. Just think he's not up to it, to be honest with you, and he needs to be moved on. We do need to get centre-backs in ASAP. Connor Cody's still looking like the favourite as the first centre-back through the door, according to reports this morning. So guys, look, a few things to really think about, work on, talk about. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Guys, remember always, if you enjoyed the content, like, comment, share and subscribe. And we are the people.